What's up, everybody? It is Flashwing. Street riding survival tips. Some of what I might convey is already part of the motorcycle safety training that you may have received or is required knowledge for taking your motorcycle exam in your state. Some of it is not. Understand that I am by no means an expert. I want to get something out of the way very quickly. Number one, most importantly, you want to stay alive on the street? Wear your gear. The fact is, your chances of survivability in a crash go way up if you wear your gear. Wearing no gear is almost a guarantee you're going to get hurt. And if you didn't get hurt, that's great. So now we're merging onto the freeway. My mirrors are pointed to the side of me, not to my shoulder, and I'm still going to give the head check, and I'm going to actually give a point. Not a lot of traffic, so what? We're going to practice, giving the point, looking. You never sweep lanes. That's how you get killed. You always move over one lane at a time, and then with this goddamn HOV lane, you really got to check it, you give the point, and you move over. So now we're in the HOV lane. Now, this lane in particular is highly dangerous. It's really great to have a motorcycle because you can get in this lane, and it's basically a priority lane that you can only get into if you have a motorcycle, a fuel-efficient car, or if you have more than two or more passengers. Here's the problem, though. It isn't happening today. Today it's Sunday, but during normal rush hour traffic, this whole highway will be slammed. It'll be full of cars, and they're all going to be stopped, and this lane is going to be open. And unfortunately, people, in their haste to get into the HOV lane, don't look. Or they only look very briefly. So what I do is I ride right where I'm at right now, which is all the way to the right. Now, this is a more dangerous position because if someone was to pull out, I would have very little time to react. This is true. However, if I ride to the left side of the HOV lane, it is a guarantee that they will pull into my lane because they cannot see me. Either because their mirrors are adjusted improperly, or because there's a vehicle in front of me that obscures my view. Visibility is safety in every circumstance. If you cannot be seen, you are at risk of being hit. And I've taken a lot of heat for not only riding in this position, but also I'll do a swerve. People think this is stupid. You know what? I don't care what you think, and you shouldn't either. These people are egotistical, and they believe what they believe, and that's going to get them killed someday. That's fine. The idea of a little swerve, it doesn't have to be very much, but when traffic is stopped, I will give a little swerve because it makes me a moving target, because it breaks the line of sight. One thing that the human eye is very good at, and I don't care who you are, this is a fact of human nature, people are very good at picking out things that don't belong, or things that change in their line of sight. Things that stay static, that stay the same, like how you lose your keys and they're right in front of you, things like that. That's the kind of stuff that can get you hit, because they're not looking for a bike, they're looking for a car. If you just give it a little swerve, that really breaks up what's happening. Your lights change direction, the reflectivity of your light changes direction, it catches people's eye. They see you. That means they are less likely to run into you because you may or may not surprise them. Who knows? Let's talk about your bike. This is real important. Surviving on the street is heavily dependent upon you knowing and understanding the capabilities of your motorcycle. Now, I don't care what you're riding. I don't care if you're riding a Harley. I don't care if you're riding a 250. I don't care if you're riding an H2R. You have to know a few basic facts about your bike, such as, number one, how much acceleration does your bike have? How fast is it capable of being? Number two, how good are your brakes? How well can you use your brakes? Number three, how maneuverable is your bike? These are all factors that, and I'd say number four, what is the size of your motorcycle? The reason why this is important is because it requires you to plan the moves that you make on the street. If you want to get into a gap, or if you want to get out of someone's way, or if you want to ride close to somebody as in tailgating them, You need to understand how good your acceleration is, how good your braking is, and how well you can personally manage those things. Just because your bike can stop really well doesn't mean that you have the technique to pull that brake lever appropriately and ride on the edge of braking. If you can't do it, then you need to make sure that you keep your following distance from cars. You shouldn't be tailgating anyway because it's a risk, but the important thing is if you do ride close to cars, lane positioning is key. I don't have a car in front of me at the moment, but when I do ride behind vehicles, I always ride to one side or the other. And a lot of it depends on whether or not I have to play defense with my lane. What does that mean? I want to make sure that people don't get the cockeyed, brained idea that they can just come into my lane even though I'm in it. I have had some drivers that think that just because there's open road right here, that they can just help themselves to it and push me out of my own lane. It has happened. So if I have a lot of heavy traffic either to my left or to my right, I will actually ride on the side with the greatest chance in my mind of someone coming into my lane to ensure that they see me, and number two, that they don't have any ideas about coming into my lane. The other advantage to riding to either the right or the left side of the lane with traffic in front of you is should they all slam on the brakes. In most cases, not all of them because shit happens, in most cases there's no excuse to rear-end a car on a motorcycle unless you can't fit in between the spaces that cars leave for you. See these little hash lines, okay? People don't drive on these lines typically. Look at these two cars up ahead. Look at that gap right between the two cars right there. You could fit two R1s side by side into that gap. If this car in front of me was to slam on their brakes, at this speed, I might be able to stop as fast as they can, but the problem is reaction timing as well. By the time I even see their brake lights, they're already on the brakes. So by the time I'm on the brakes and then matching their deceleration, I may lose 50 feet, 100 feet, who knows? But there's this gap right between cars. So even if I'm hard on the brakes, I can just simply move my bike over just a little bit and go right up the middle. I know it because I've done it. So finally, in the last little tidbit that I want to talk to you guys about, one of the most important things to surviving on the street is ignoring the law. There's probably a few of you that are already yelling and screaming at the computer screen. Just hold on a second. Understand something, that drivers in cars, they don't follow the law, okay? They do a lot of illegal things, and most of the time if you're not following the law, most of the time when you crash into something, it's because you were not following the law. You were speeding, you were driving drunk, you were driving tired, any number of things. Drivers don't follow the law, okay? It's important to recognize which laws are keys to safety and which laws are really an obstacle to safety. For example, it is required by law in the United States that you drive on the right side of the road. If we were to drive on the left side of the freeway, that would most likely get us killed. Okay, that's a law that we have to follow. Things like stop signs and red stoplights and directions of travel, these are all laws that have to be followed, because if you don't, you have a real certainty of being hurt or killed. But things like speed, for example, if you're on a freeway and the flow of traffic is 80 miles per hour and the speed limit is 55 and you believe that you have to follow the law to stay safe, you're going to get hurt. You need to follow the flow of traffic. In addition to that, you have to have the mindset that you will do anything necessary to avoid a collision. What I mean is that if you have to split lanes, if you have to go up on the sidewalk, if you have to go down the wrong way on a street, provided that the maneuver is not going to put you in further danger, if it is against the law, so what? Nobody wins any awards on the street for following the law. Nobody. There's no banquet at the end of every year where they say, congratulations, Mr. Smith, you haven't broken a single traffic law, which is impossible, but you haven't broken a single traffic law this year. Congratulations. And there are certainly no accolades for getting killed while following the law. Well, here lies John Smith. He was killed today, but he always followed the law. The only thing that matters is that you make it home safely every single night. You have to go up on the sidewalk. You got to do something a little bit risky. If it's against the law, don't worry about it. But you have to know the difference between laws that will make us more safe and laws that may not necessarily make us safe. That's the key. Just a few survival tips. I'm going to be doing more of these. Post your comments, questions. There's a lot more to cover. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I am going to be giving my knowledge to you about the things that I do to stay safe on the road. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you out there.